You have 10 seconds to guess at least 3 verbs. Ready? Let's go. You have 10 seconds to guess at least 3 verbs. Ready? Let's go. Okay, time's up. Now tell me, how many verbs did you find? Write down your answers in the comments below. Hi there, welcome back to EngVarta. This is Vani and today I will talk about verbs and why are they so important in English. So let's start with what are verbs. So verbs are action words in a sentence. They describe what the subject is doing. They can express a physical action, a mental action or a state of being. Verbs are actually a fundamental part of speech in English. Now there are 5 types of verbs: auxiliary verbs, modal verbs, action verbs, linking verbs, regular and irregular verbs. Let's cover them all one by one. So let's start with action verbs. Now action verbs are words that express physical or mental action which is performed by the subject in a sentence. They indicate what the subject is doing, thinking or feeling. Now action verbs, they have 2 categories: transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. Let's start with transitive verbs. Transitive verbs, they require or they need someone or something to receive the action. Now imagine that you are playing a game of catch. You need a ball to throw to someone, right? In the same way, transitive verbs, they require an object to receive the action, to show where the action is going. For instance, if I say, she kicks the ball or he paints the wall. In both these sentences, kicks and paints, they are transitive verbs which require objects like wall and ball to complete the sentence, to make sense of the sentence. Now, on the other hand, intransitive verbs, they do not require any direct object to complete the sentence. The action ends with the verb itself. For example, if I say, he sleeps or they sing. In both the sentence, sleep and sing, they are intransitive verbs. They do not require any object to complete the sentence. The sentence makes sense on its own. Moving on to linking verbs. Now linking verbs, they are verbs which connect the subject to an adjective or a noun which gives us more information about the subject's state of being. Some common linking verbs are is, am, are, was, were, be, being and been. Let's look at a couple of examples. He is a teacher. Now over here in this sentence, the linking verb is, which connects the subject, which is he, to the noun, teacher. Moving on to example number 2. They are happy. Now in this sentence, the linking verb is, are, which connects the subject they to the adjective happy, which describes their state of being. Sentence number 3. Rohan is being practical. Now in this sentence, the linking verb is being, which connects the subject Rohan to the adjective practical, which once again describes his condition. Simple. Moving on to type number 3. Auxiliary verbs. Now auxiliary verbs are also known as helping verbs. They are used to form different tenses, moods and voices of the main verb. They provide additional grammatical and functional information about the subject. Now some common types of auxiliary verbs are be, have and do. Let's start with be. Now be is used with continuous tenses and passive voices like is, am, are, was, were, being and been. Let's look at a couple of examples. I am studying for my exams right now. The project is being completed by the team. Moving on to have. Now have is used to form perfect tenses like have, has and had. Let's look at a couple of examples. She has traveled to France 3 times this year, or they had completed their homework. Last up is do. Now do is used to frame negative sentences, questions or to add emphasis like do, does and did. For example, I do not like cold weather, or does he know where the meeting is, or I did not want to go to the party. Simple. Moving on to type number 4, modal verbs. Now modal verbs are a special type of auxiliary verbs. They are used to express likelihood, ability, permission and obligation. They modify the main verb by giving us more information about the function of the main verb. Now let's look at all modal verbs one by one. So the first modal verb is can. Can is used to express ability, possibility, and to take permission. For example, I can swim or can I go to the party? Second one is could. Could is used to express past ability, possibility, and to make polite request. For example, I could swim a couple of years back, or could you please like this video? Number 3 is may. May is used to take permission and to express possibility when there is a 70 to 80% chance. For example, may I leave early today, or it may rain today. Number 4 is might. Might is used to express possibility which is less certain than may when there is a 40 to 50% chance, like it might rain today. Number 5 is will. Will is used to express future certainties, willingness, and to make a promise. For example, I will help you with that. Number 6 is would. Would is used for hypothetical situations to make a polite request or for willingness in the past. For example, would you like some coffee? Number 7 is shall. Now, shall is used to make a formal suggestion or offer. For example, shall we dance? Number 8 is should. Should is used to give advice or obligation. For example, you should see the doctor. And number 9 is must. Must is used to give a strong recommendation and obligation. For example, you must wear a seat belt. Simple. Moving on to the last type, regular verbs and irregular verbs. Let's start with regular verbs. Now, regular verbs are verbs that follow a standard pattern in forming past tense and past participle by adding D, ED and IED to the base form of the verb. And this rule applies regardless of the verb tense being simple past or past participle. For example, walk will become walked, laugh will become laughed, study will become studied. See, regular verbs are predictable, they are easier, which makes them simpler to learn and use. On the other hand, irregular verbs do not follow a standard pattern. Past tense and past participle may widely differ from the base form. There are no rules to predict these changes. For example, go changes to went and went changes to gone. Likewise, eat changes to ate and ate changes to eaten. Begin changes to began and began changes to begun. So this brings us to the end of the video. Thanks a lot for watching. I really hope that now you have a better understanding of verbs and you will use them correctly next time. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Subscribe the channel for more such content. I would love to hear from you. So if you have any doubts, any questions, drop them in the comments below. I will see you very